gases, right? So breathing and exchange of gases. So so as you know, so earthworms use their most cuticle. Insects have a network of tubes, that is tracheal tubes, and then gills, that is branchial respiration. Most of the aquatic arthropods and mollusks, and vascular bags, lungs, that is pulmonary respiration used by their terrestrial forms. Okay, now amphibians, reptiles, birds and mammals respire through lungs. Amphibians through moist skin, that is cutaneous respiration. Now human respiratory system, that is pharynx, trachea, sound box, so bronchia, bronchioles and alveoli. So pharynx is the common passage for food and water. Okay, the pharynx opens through the larynx region into the trachea. Okay, and larynx is a cartilaginous box, okay, which helps in sound production. Now trachea is a straight tube extending up to the mid thoracic cavity, okay, which divides at the level of fifth thoracic vertebra into right and left primary bronchi. Okay, so each bronchi undergoes repeated divisions to from the secondary and tertiary bronchi and bronchioles, ending up the trachea. Primary, secondary, tertiary bronchi and initial bronchioles are supported by incomplete cartilaginous rings. Okay, now so epiglottis covers the larynx. Okay, epiglottis is a elastic cartilaginous flap. Mm, then there is pleural membranes, then alveoli, then pleural fluid between pleural membranes, then bronchiole. There is diaphragm, that is dome shaped. There is lungs, cut end of ribs, then bronchus. You can see the trachea, so pharynx, then epiglottis covering the larynx and trachea. The conducting, whereas the alveoli and their ducts from the respiratory or exchange part of the respiratory system. The conducting parts transport the atmospheric air to the alveoli, clears it from foreign particles, humidifies and also brings the air to body temperature. So exchange part is the site of actual diffusion of O2 and CO2 between blood and atmospheric air. Okay. The lungs are situated in the thoracic chamber, which is anatomically an airtight chamber, right? The thoracic chamber is formed dorsally by the vertebral column and ventrally by the sternum. So laterally by the ribs and on the lower side by the dome-shaped diaphragm. So dome-shaped diaphragm. Okay. The anatomical setup of lungs in thorax is such that any change in the volume of the thoracic cavity will be reflected in the lung, that is pulmonary cavity. So such an arrangement is essential for breathing, as we cannot directly alter the pulmonary volume. So anatomical setup of lungs in thorax is such a way that any change in the volume of the thoracic cavity will be reflected in the lung, that is pulmonary cavity. Such arrangement is essential for breathing, as we cannot directly alter the pulmonary volume. Now respiration involves the following steps, that is breathing, or pulmonary ventilation, by which atmospheric air is drawn in and CO2 is released out. So second step is diffusion of gases, O2 and CO2 across the alveolar membrane. Then there is the transport of gases by the blood, then diffusion of O2 and CO2 between the blood and tissues, and utilization of O2 by the cells for catabolic reactions, right? Now mechanism of breathing, that is inspiration, expiration. The diaphragm and a specialized set of muscles, that is external and internal intercostal muscles between the ribs, help in generation of such gradients. Now inspiration is initiated by the contraction of diaphragm. So diaphragm gets flat, which increases the volume of thoracic chamber in the anterior posterior axis, right? Now the contraction of external intercostal muscles. Okay, Now the contraction of external intercostal muscles increases the volume in dorso-ventral axis. Okay, this is inspiration, right? Now relaxation of the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles, that's internal and external both, returns the diaphragm and sternum to their normal positions and reduce the thoracic volume and thereby the pulmonary volume. So we have the ability to increase the strength of inspiration and expiration with the help of additional muscles in the abdomen. So on an average, healthy human breathes 12 to 60 times per minute. We use the spirometer for clinical assessment of pulmonary functions. So inspiration and expiration. So air entering lungs, volume of thorax increase, ribs and sternum raise, rib cage, diaphragm contracted. Now in expiration, air expelled from lungs, volume of thorax decrease, ribs and sternum return to original position and diaphragm relax and arch upward. Now respiratory volumes and capacity. So tidal volume, it is 500 ml. Healthy man, it is 6000 to 8000 ml of air per minute. Then inspiratory reserve volume, IRV, expiratory reserve volume. These are the additional volume other than the tidal volume. It is 2500 to 3000.